Hey guys, what's up? It's Savannah. Welcome back to another episode of My Thoughts Exactly. Thank you guys so much for joining me here today. If you're new here, hi, my name is Savannah. I'm your host of My Thoughts Exactly. And before we get started, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That way you never miss an episode. We post weekly here every single Friday. You're not going to want to miss it. We also upload the video version onto YouTube on Fridays as well. So make sure you're subscribed. And with that being said, you guys, happy Friday. I hope you all have had a great week. And if you haven't, guess what? You did it. It's Friday. It's the weekend. You made it. Happy Friday, you guys. I am so happy to be back. I am so happy to be sitting in this chair. I say back loosely because I never left the podcast. Obviously, I saw you guys last week, but I had pre-filmed and pre-recorded some of the episodes. I believe the last 2 episodes were pre-recorded. So I feel like I haven't actually sat down in this chair and just chit-chatted with you guys in a minute. And I'm so happy to be doing that today. I'm so happy to be back in Nashville. It's actually kind of what we're going to be talking about today. But just to give you a little bit of a preface, I was in San Diego last week. So I spent Wednesday through Sunday there, and I was just there with my family. No real reason. It was just me and my parents. And truth be told, I don't know why we went, if I'm being so completely real. I don't know why we went to San Diego. My dad was just like, we're going to go to San Diego. And I said, we're going to San Diego. Okay, perfect. Before that, I hadn't been back in probably a year and a half. The last time I was back was not this past Thanksgiving, but the Thanksgiving prior to that. And I brought Hayden. It was the first time that I showed Hayden San Diego. It was actually the first time he had ever been to San Diego. So it was really cool to show him that. And then prior to that, the first time that I had been back by myself was another year before that. So it had been quite some time since I spent like quality time in San Diego. And I feel like when I was there, and this ties us into what we're talking about today, I had many moments where I just self-reflected, and I had many moments of, recognizing the change that has occurred in my life over the past couple years. The last time I was in San Diego by myself, I was newly into my relationship with Hayden. I was actually only in like my talking stage of my relationship with Hayden, and to now go back being engaged and getting married in a few months, like it all just feels very different and very surreal. And I felt like I wanted to come on here and just kind of talk about some of those realizations that I had and just give you guys some of the insight that I had over the past week. I think that something that I've recognized that's kind of a pattern in the What Would Sav Do episodes that we talk about are questions of you guys having just questions where I feel like it's either, do I move out of my hometown? Do I take the leap and move to a new job? Do I take the leap and move to a new city? Do I take the leap and change colleges? Like, I feel like that's a common theme a lot of the times when we do these What Would Sav Do segments. And I think I wanted to speak to that based off of my own personal experience, because I can recognize how scary change is and how scary doing a complete 180 of your life is. And I feel like I don't need to kind of preface or give a little bit of a backstory, but I'll just give it just so we're all on the same page here. I moved to Nashville in 2021. It was September of 2021 when I moved here. Prior to that, I had been living in San Diego for about 10 years collectively. I did come to Nashville and go to Belmont for one of those years, but it wasn't even a full year. Like, it was just a couple months. It was probably like 8 months collectively, because I was there from September to December and then January to April. So you can do the math on that. So I pretty much had lived in San Diego all for the past 10 years. Before that, I was in Connecticut. That doesn't really matter in this case, but I'm more so just talking about the time that I spent in San Diego in general. And I reached this point at the end of that 10 years where I recognized within myself that I needed a change, which, if you are a type A person who's afraid of change, if you are having moments of I need a change, you know you need a change. You really need a change. If you're sitting there, someone who's afraid of change being like, I think I need a change, that's when you really know. I had recognized that I had been basically just living my life on repeat and on autopilot. I felt like I was doing the same thing every day. I was talking to the same people. I was dating the same type of guys. I felt like I just, you know, that meme, and it's not a meme, but that episode in SpongeBob where Squidward moves to the utopia and he is so excited and like everything is amazing. And he starts realizing day after day after day that he's doing the same thing over and over again. And he starts kind of losing his mind over it. That's how I started to feel about San Diego. Obviously, San Diego is a beautiful place. It is amazing. If you haven't been, I highly recommend it. So I'm not sitting here saying, you know, life was horrible in San Diego. That's not the point of this. What I recognize though, and what is the point of this, is that I didn't have any personal growth. I saw a lot of people around me, a lot of my friends, they had moved away. They had created new lives and new friend groups and new careers, and they were growing as people and as humans. And every time I would see them, it felt like they had elevated themselves and leveled up in so many different facets of their life. And I was looking to myself, and while I did feel, you know, like I had social media, I had YouTube, I had the podcasts, like there were parts of my life that very much, you know, I was working on. I felt internally for my own personal growth, I had kind of stunted and plateaued. And that was a scary realization to come to. And so I decided, it was pretty much, I think I decided that I was going to move in like June, because I remember I ended something with a situationship and I was like, I give up, I'm moving. So, you know, whatever reason it takes for you to get to where you need to go, I guess is good. But that was my reasoning. We ended things and I was just like, I have to get out of here. I will literally lose my mind. I can't do this again. So I believe that was like June of 2021. I made the decision. I'm moving to Nashville, and I moved in September. I'm someone who a lot of times feels like I need a extensive planning, and I need to write down all of these things in all of these different scenarios and try and figure out every single little tiny detail. And I really didn't do that this time. When I decided that I was going to move to Nashville, I felt ready. I just was like, it was just kind of like a throwing my hands in the air, like, let's just do it. If I'm not going to do it now, I'm never going to do it. I was 24 and I just felt like it was the prime time of my life to do something like this. I was not in a relationship. I didn't have any responsibilities tying me down. I didn't have any pets. I didn't have any kids. I was just like, let's do it. Like, let's just go. And I moved here and I got an apartment by myself and I started living my life. And what I've realized, without even actually realizing it, but hindsight, I can look back and notice this, the amount of growth that has taken place within these past 3.5 years is absolutely mind-blowing to me. I am not the same person that I was when I left San Diego, and I don't think that I would have accomplished the amount of personal growth that I have done thus far. Granted, I still have a lot more to go, but I would not be the person that I am had I not made the decision to just take that leap and take that chance. And that's really what I want to talk about today. I think that that's really the root of this. I want to encourage you. I want you to take this as a sign if you needed one. If you are sitting at some point in your life, you feel like you're at a crossroads, you feel like you're at a fork in the road, you either go one way and things stay the same, or you do a 180 and you change your life. I recommend doing the latter. I recommend taking that chance and making that change. I will forever be grateful that I made that decision, because it opened me up to a life that I did not even know could have existed. If you told me before I left for Nashville that I would find the man that I'm going to marry, I would have a great house, I would have an amazing dog, amazing friends, I would have family here, that I would basically be living the life that I am now. If you painted this picture for me, you know, this is all I've ever wanted. This is all I've ever dreamed of. And if I didn't take that chance, I wouldn't have gotten here. I was really thinking about it last night too. I went to dinner with a girlfriend and we were sitting there and we were just talking. And in the midst of talking, I just had this internal dialogue with myself of, I would never know my friends if I didn't leave. And that's like an obvious, like, no duh. But like on a deeper note, like I would never have this life. I would not be here. I wouldn't know these people. There's so much life out there to live. And I wouldn't have known any of it if I decided to play it safe and stay in my little bubble wrapped world. There was something that was appealing about that. There was something that was comfortable about that because I knew that and I knew what that world was and I knew what that would continue to look like for me. But I decided and I made the pivotal decision in my life that I was going to want more for myself. And that was a really, really big thing for me. So I really want this episode to resonate with anyone who is in their life right now, who's thinking about making a big change, but you just feel stuck. Like I said, you're at the fork in the road. You don't know which way to turn. Let's say you feel stuck, you feel trapped, you feel scared, you feel unsure. Again, whatever that looks like, if it's career, personal, location, relationship, whatever that is, I want to encourage you to take that leap, even if you are scared. Even if it is uncomfortable. Moving to Nashville, I had zero friends. I've talked about this time and time again. I had no friends. I didn't know what I was doing, but I just had faith that it was going to work itself out, that things were going to figure themselves out. And I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad I leaned in to that comfortability, actually the complete opposite, that uncomfortability, because I did not know this life that was waiting for me. And I'm so glad that I didn't listen to the little scared voice in the back of my head who was trying to convince me that I should just stay because staying was easier. When I was in San Diego and I was driving past really everything, I remember I was in the car with my dad and we were driving and I looked at him and I was like, it's so weird because I almost felt like when I went back, like prior to actually going back last week, I felt like I was going to be hit with this wave of nostalgia and like, oh my God, and like tugging at my heartstrings. And I really didn't. It was this weird mix of feeling like I had not been there in years because I hadn't been there in a long time, but simultaneously it felt like I was just there yesterday. It just felt like second nature. It felt like instinct. It just felt like I knew where I was going. I could drive around this place blindfolded and tell you exactly where I needed to go. So it was this mix of feelings of nostalgia, but also recognizing, and that's when it really hit me like, oh my God, life has changed so much. And that change did not happen, overnight. It came from making a choice. It came from a risk, from leaving this comfort and familiarity that I had in a place and starting over completely with no guarantees. And I didn't have everything figured out. I had nothing figured out, actually. I just had an apartment and I was like, let's just see what happens. And I'm so glad I did because I could have let that voice in the back of my head just tell me to stay. And I'm really glad I didn't listen to it. And here's what I want to emphasize to you guys and what I really want you to feel and just know is that you are never ever stuck. I know people have, there's different things that are holding people back and there's different circumstances. Everyone's circumstances are different, but I really want you to know that no matter what in life, you are never stuck. If you feel right now like you're just kind of on this hamster wheel and you're on autopilot and you are just kind of going with the motions of everything and you're not really feeling fulfilled in life, make a change. You can always make a change, whether that's changing jobs, locations, change of scenery, change of friends, whatever it is, you can always change. You are never stuck. And I feel like a lot of times, if you're like me, when you start to feel stuck, that's when the anxiety starts rising and you're like, oh my God, this is it. You're like, I'm stuck. What am I going to do? And what I've learned is that the only person that can convince you that you are stuck is yourself. You are the only person that can hold you back in a scenario like this, whether that be, now or 5 years down the line or 10 years down the line. You are the only person that will be holding yourself back in this life. And there is this one quote that I saw. It's always stuck with me. And it said, in 10 years from now, make sure you can look back and say that you chose your life and you didn't settle for it. And that has always resonated with me. And I've always held on to that, because to me, and I don't mean this, to me, it's like, I'm basically I lived in San Diego. Like, San Diego's amazing. Like, it's so beautiful. It's so stunning. And that to me is like not settling. It's not the environment. It's not San Diego itself. It's just where I had been. It's just the location. I could have been anywhere. And if I was anywhere for that amount of time, I would feel the exact same way. I decided not to settle. I decided not to stay just because it was easy and comfortable. I decided to make the scary decision. And that is what I wanted to say for you too. And that's what I want for you guys, because I see these messages that you send in and it's like, I'm scared. I'm scared to make a change. I'm scared to start something new. But what is scarier? Is what's scarier staying the same? Because to me, that's kind of scarier. I'm scared of who I would have been if I stayed in San Diego, truly. Like, I'm scared of what my life would have become and, the type of person I would be. Not that I would be a bad person, but you know what I mean? The lack of personal growth that would have came from that is really, really, that is what scares me more than making the change and making the decision to leave and to move. And I want to just emphasize that to you and really kind of, make that the point of this, is that change is scary, but scary doesn't always have to be bad. It's natural, I guess is what I'm trying to say, for those anxieties and that worry to be there, but it's because of the unknown. It's because you don't know what's on the other side of the door. You can always go back. Also, mind you, if you open that door and you're like, I don't like this, you can always go back. You can always change route. Like I said, you're never, ever stuck. But I think that a lot of times we get caught up in this phase of life, especially in like your 20s. Your 20s are just such a weird time. But in your 20s especially, I feel like a lot of times, or just in life in general, we wait for the perfect time to do things. We wait for the perfect moment. We wait for the perfect time to make a change, to make some big thing happen. And if you're going to wait for the perfect time, you're going to be waiting forever. Don't wait for the perfect time. Make it the perfect time. Don't wait until you feel completely ready, because you're always going to feel like you're not. You just have to start. And if it doesn't turn out the way you imagined, I want to say this too, because I feel like a lot of times people just say, just do it, just do it, just do it. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. And then let's say it's not, because maybe you decide that you didn't like the decision that you made. Maybe you get in it and you're like, actually, I thought that this is what I wanted, but it turns out it's not. That's okay too. It's not the end of the world. And if that's the case, guess what? You learned something. A. B. You grew. And C. You can always change course again. You can always change course again. You are never, ever stuck. You can always reroute at any given point. And I know that all of, the moving parts of life can be scary and they can be uncomfortable. But I also know from someone who is now on the other side of this, is that it is so very worth it. It is so worth it. All of the anxieties, all of the fear, all of the doubt of, is this going to be right, is worth it, because it's going to land you exactly where you need to be, whether that's the first stepping stone or the next one. Let's say you move and you're like, don't love it. And then you're like, well, okay, I've tried this out. Now I'm going to switch gears and go to a different city or a different state, or I'm going to go back to where I was. You're going to land where you need to land. And I think that you should do yourself the favor of pushing yourself and pushing your limits, and obviously doing what you want, making yourself happy. Don't do anything that was like, I'm not telling you to like do something that you're like actually going to despise and like, oh, Savannah told me I needed to push myself. No, that's not what I mean. If you have something in you, if you have a thought, if you have a dream in you, if you have a life that you feel like you envisioned for yourself, somewhere you've always wanted to live, a job you've always wanted to have, a school that you've always wanted to go to, but you're in this path right now and you're just like, I have to keep going because this is just what I have to do. No, it's not. It's not. It really isn't. And I feel like a lot of times we get told that once we stick to something, like this is it and this is the path and we have to keep sticking to it. You can change course at any time. Period. You can change course at any given point of life. And I actually encourage you to change it a couple times just to make sure that this is what you want to do. When I was driving through San Diego and I was sitting there, I just realized how happy I was that I made the decision that I did. And I know I'm getting like really philosophical and like deep and introspective about all of this. And I know it's really not that serious, but when I was sitting there, I just realized like my life is so different because of one change that I made. One choice that I made changed my life completely. I now have a life that I never knew that I could have. I have a family that I just, I moved here and I have my people, I have my places. This is a place that makes me happy. And I want that for all of you. And I know 24-year-old Savannah was terrified of making a change. And I kept trying to fit myself into different people's lanes and fit myself into different people's agendas of what I was supposed to be doing and what I wanted or what other people wanted for me. And I just stopped asking myself what I wanted because I just felt like it was easier to just go with the cycle of what everyone else was doing. But clearly I was not meant for that. I dropped out of college. I went to 4 different high schools. For someone who says they hate change, I sure have dealt with my fair share of it. But again, I just had so many thoughts while I was there. I did a lot of self-reflection. I did a lot of introspective thinking. I did a lot of just having that internal dialogue with myself of, I am so glad that I am here. I'm so grateful that I'm here. I'm so grateful that I trusted my gut. I'm so grateful that I didn't question myself. And when everyone was looking at me being like, why are you going to Nashville? Like, why Nashville? Like, Nashville doesn't make sense. Like, why Nashville? Everyone and their mother told me to go to LA, by the way. It just like, with the nature of what I do and everything, it just kind of was like LA seemed to be the natural next step. But in my heart, I just knew it wasn't for me. Also because the summer before I moved to Nashville, I did live in LA for like 2 months and I didn't like it. So I knew that wasn't for me. But I'm just very glad that I trusted my instincts and I trusted my heart and my mind and what I was telling myself to do. And I'm glad that I followed it. And I'm glad I didn't listen to anyone else about it because look at where I'm at now. I'm so happy, so happy and content and excited for life. And I just want that for you guys as well. And I feel like when I was in San Diego, it gave me the opportunity to think like, I wish I could go back to 24-year-old Savannah and be like, don't even worry about it. Like if I could tell the girl who was in San Diego about to move to Nashville, everything that was going to happen, I wish I could, because it would take away so much stress and fear and anxiety. I remember the day before I moved to Nashville, I was sitting on my bedroom floor crying, being like, I don't know if this is the right thing. I don't know if this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't know how I feel about all of this. I don't know if like, what am I doing? Like, am I crazy? Like, I could just live here and everything will be fine. But I wouldn't have grown. I just wouldn't have had that personal growth. And I'm not saying that you need to completely uproot your life in order to have that. But what I am saying is it's really important to challenge yourself in life and to push yourself past your comfort zone, because you are capable of so much more than you think that you are. And when you do push yourself a little bit outside of your comfort zone, you really see how strong that you are and how resilient you are. I didn't realize how capable I was of just doing life until I moved here, truly. And I know that sounds insane, but like it just taught me so much about being independent and standing on my own 2 feet and just only relying on myself. Like I really learned so many life lessons and so many things from just that one decision. And so whether it's a job and you're stuck in your job right now and you just are like, fuck this, I hate it, I want to leave, but I don't know what to do, or I do know what to do, but I'm scared to do it. Or if it's, a relationship and you're like, I'm not happy, but I'm scared to leave because of X, Y, and Z. If it's, I'm stuck in my hometown and I just feel like it's not, what am I going to do here? And I just feel like there's no personal growth, whatever it is. You guys, I'm laughing. I just had to press pause for a second because it sounds unbelievable, because the Tennessee Department of Corrections is currently right next door to my house. And I think it is so ironic and hysterical that I'm sitting here talking to you about how great everything is. And oh my God, I'm so happy. This is the life I've always dreamed of. This is so great. Meanwhile, Tennessee Department of Corrections, right next door to me. But you know what? They're not here for me. So we're going to keep going. Anyways, as I was saying, there are many different ways that this episode can resonate with you, whether that's, I'm not saying that you have to have some catastrophic 180 flip in your life. It could be leaving a relationship that's no longer serving you, a friendship that's no longer serving you. It can be moving out of your small town hometown or your big city lifestyle that just isn't serving you anymore. And I think that it's important, to recognize whatever that is, career, if it's a new project you want to start, you deserve to look at yourself and challenge yourself and say that you deserve something else that's out there. You deserve to see what else is out there for you. You deserve to see what else life can offer for you. And it's okay to feel uncertain about it. I don't think that we talk about how normal it is to feel uncertain about life changes. I think everyone is just, okay, let's do it. And this is going to be great. But, it's okay to have mixed emotions, and it's okay to miss parts of your old self and your old life and simultaneously still be happy with where you are today. Two things very well can be true at the same time. You can love your past and love your past life or where you are now while simultaneously still be ready to grow beyond it. And I think a lot of times people don't recognize that those two can be synonymous. You can have both of those things be very true at the same time. You don't need to wait until some tipping point or some breaking point. You can recognize and love and appreciate how far you've come while also wanting to reroute and do something that's different for you. And you don't have to have it all figured out to move forward. You just have to be willing to do it. That's all. You don't have to have it all figured out. All you have to do is just start. Just make the first move, the first step, and just start that process and start that journey. And I know it's scary. I'm not trying to diminish that fact. I'm not trying to say that it's not. I'm not trying to say that, you shouldn't have mixed emotions or mixed feelings. I want to acknowledge that, and I want to honor and validate those feelings. But also, I think it's important to recognize those feelings for what they are and not excuse them for holding you back. That's what I will say about that. And so that for me, you guys, is really all of it today. This is my wrap up of my thoughts and my feelings of being in my hometown after not being there for so long and really going back as a totally new, evolved version of myself. Mindset, physically, where I'm at in my life. I just feel like so much of it is new and so much of it is, not where I once was when I was last there. So it gave me a lot of new perspective, and I wanted to share that perspective with you. Wherever you're at in your life, you're doing a great job. And if you feel like you want something more for yourself, this is just my sign to you to encourage you to take advantage of that and to do that. So with that being said, you guys, that is going to be all for me today. And I hope you enjoyed another episode of My Thoughts Exactly. Again, if you're new here, hi, my name's Savannah. I'm your host. And make sure before you leave, you hit that subscribe button. That way you never miss an episode. We post weekly here on the podcast every single Friday. You're not going to want to miss it. We also upload the video version onto YouTube on Fridays as well. So make sure you are subscribed. I will be back next week with a brand new episode for you guys, and I'll see you then. Bye, guys.